Hello, hello, beautiful Lovetarians. This is Natalia PH and my beautiful guest, Irish gorgeous goddess, whose name is Niamh. How do I say your last name? Asple?
Asple.
I always say it funny.
We've known each other for like 9 years now.
Exactly, we did. Well, we have been very good friends for a very, very long time, and this friendship bloomed and evolved, and so much has happened. So I'm going to introduce our beautiful guest in a moment. For now, I want everybody just to make sure that you're going to give permission to StreamYard, because we're going live on StreamYard. And if you would like to make some comments during this broadcast, you need to give permission to StreamYard to show your name if you're listening on Facebook. So by this video, above the video, next to the video, you should see a message somewhere. Give permission to StreamYard to show your name. You know, privacy laws, people. So if you would do that, then we will be able to interact with you on first name basis or whatever name you had chosen. Okie dokie. So the Lovetarian Way podcast is in its 6th episode. And as you know, we have been inviting beautiful teachers, healers, guides. And Niamh here is a best-selling author. She is a very dedicated yogini and, well, beautiful soul, beautiful light teacher. And she's going to tell us about her journey. And Niamh, especially on this beautiful full moon, how important is it to take care of the temple of your being and do yoga?
So important. Wow. So important. And what I've really discovered with my journey and what I'm really delving into teaching on a much deeper level now is the power of yoga to bring us into the vessel, as the vessel is what we receive our guidance through, right? And if that's not clean and healthy and clear, then it's really hard for us to receive in a really clear way. And yet guidance is always there waiting for us to access it. So yoga's been hugely powerful for my journey in opening up to that.
How has it started for you?
Yoga?
Mm-hmm.
So my yoga journey started a long time ago. About 16 years ago, when I was 24, I took my first yoga class. And it really was kind of, love at first step on the mat. It was like, that real sense of like, oh God, I found this thing, it's amazing. And I kind of practiced on and off in studios. And then in about 2010, I kind of started to build my own home practice. I was working in corporate at the time. I had a stressful job, and I used to get up every morning at 5 a.m. and just do some practice before I would get ready for work. And it was a lifesaver. It really was. It was definitely something that got me through those times. And then in 2012, we moved to Spain. And in 2014, I was making a transition, and I decided, I was like, I think it's time. I want to go and learn to be a teacher. We'd already met at this stage, so you probably remember around that time. I forced you into my first yoga class. I was like, come on, Natalia. You remember that? And yeah, I kind of went from there. I taught yoga full-time in Alicante, but I really struggled. It was, it's just a beautiful thing to share, but a really hard thing to make a living out of. So that kind of led me onto another path, because I was like, I'm really struggling to survive here just teaching classes. And I ended up teaching English as well to try and supplement my yoga. And it was just a real struggle. And I just thought there has to be a better way to do this. So that led me on a digital journey. I actually went back to corporate to get some money together, because it's the only way I knew how to get money fast. And then I started on a journey into digital marketing, affiliate marketing, course creation. And yeah, it's kind of all moved from there. And I've had like loads of opportunities come through. And the book is actually what I wrote about this whole journey, because it continues. It hasn't stopped. And I even feel like I've so much more downloads coming through now and more things opening up. But as with everything in life, it's all expansion and contraction, just like the body. We're constantly, and you probably felt this with the moon, maybe you felt a contraction now as like you're getting rid of the old and preparing to step into the new. And life is like that, it's it really comes back to our willingness to be able to stay open enough to listen to the guidance that we receive, and to know that, you know, if it doesn't feel right for you, there is a better way. And that's just a little guiding light for you to tap into that and start to follow those pieces of information that are dropping in, right?
So yoga, in essence, it is the connection between mind, body, and spirit, right? And how the modern yoga is actually different from the original yoga. I mean, I'm not going to answer that question. I'm asking you, because I remember that it was all about breath, right? And facilitating prana and so on. And now it became, a lot of modalities exist there. It's all about fitness. And sometimes when I see your poses, people, when I see her bending like a pretzel, standing on her head, wow, the control you have of your body, it's amazing. But coming back to the source, the people with disabilities, people that have issues with their body, how could they practice yoga? Because what is it really all about at the end of the day, yoga itself, the essence of yoga?
Such a great question. It really is, because I think that there has been far too much emphasis on it being an exercise, you know? And I went through a stage of that, the kind of conflict going like, oh, it just feels like an exercise, but it's not, because it really is the union. And I've actually had Babaji come through quite a lot recently. So he is an ascended master who is, I would say, one of the godfathers of yoga. And he explains it so beautifully that it's the union with the divine. It's not the union with just you and your body. The body is just a vehicle for you to access the divine. And we can do that. Yoga is as much sitting and breathing as it is wrapping your legs around your head, if that feels good for you and gets you into that, you know. But, you know, there was a teacher, Patabi Joyce, who said, the breath is the yoga, the postures, the rest of it, that's just circus, you know. But there's an element of like, yeah, you know, totally. What I find though, like, and this is how I teach it as well, it's creating space within the body, because what happens in the body filters through to the mind. And if you can create the space in your body, there's this automatic expansion in the mind. And when we expand the mind, our guidance can come through. So that's how you create that union and that fluidity where, you know, when you're in a deep meditation, it's like nearly everything disappears. And it just becomes one, and you become centered, and you can access information or stillness or whatever you need in that moment, you know. And that for me is the real union. So it's not really about getting your legs around your head or standing on your head or doing that.
Well,
it is about
it helps fitness, certainly it does. However, we might be missing the point somewhere there, right?
Yeah. And actually, another amazing thing is, like, I practice Ashtanga as one of the practices I do, and you probably heard of sun salutations. So most people know this, you know, get up and salute the sun. Well, that heating of the body in that way, and those movements, how they're designed, there's a lot of forward folding. And one of my teachers described this so beautifully. It's like we're squeezing out all of the crap, pardon my French, to get to the nectar. So by working out all of the toxins in your body as you move in that way, you're releasing what is underneath. And that's like, you know, your juice, your magic, your spirit, whatever that is, you know. But the action and the movement allows you to cleanse and purify the body. And that's really kind of what I think the yogis of old were trying to get to, you know. It's that cleansing. We're cleansing the body in preparation for the spirit to come through, you know.
Beautiful, beautiful. So as you know, the audience, you yourself, the Lovetarian Way movement is all about contributing to the elevation of, well, humanity into 5D frequency, if you will, creating heaven on earth realities, and truly just guiding people, being a bridge of light so that people can stand in their own magnificence, because we are all unique, beautiful expressions of Source. So how can yoga help you connect with your light and truly help you be very, very grounded, centered, and strong in those very turbulent times, shall we say?
Yeah, good. Another great question. your practice comes down to you, but I think, and you know, it's so interesting because it's just been heavily on my mind. It's one of the greatest gifts that yoga has given me, is the ability to still my mind enough to allow me to tap into higher consciousness guidance, my own higher self, and to get those downloads that you're talking about as we move and shift into 5D, to access the information that we need to do that in a conscious way, you know, or to consciously move forward on our path. And it's as simple as the breath, you know, sitting down and breathing, because breathing is inspiration. And another term for inspiration is taking in spirit, right? So it's all the same thing. And if the movement that goes along with yoga helps you to breathe on a deeper level, and that's what it so often does, you get into a repetitive breath and it tends to get really deep, and something we call ujjayi breathing especially. And there's that cleansing, that movement in and out. And it helps to bring that clarity to allow you to access those steps to move forward. Am I answering your question?
Oh, yes, you are. Maybe you could give us some examples of, while we're sitting, a lot of people are working at their desks, a lot of people having, they don't necessarily maybe want to move sometimes. How could they, with breath, shift their frequency, increase their frequency? Do you have some suggestions?
Oh, just a simple, take 3 rounds of breath is more than enough to help anybody shift state. 3 conscious breaths.
We tend to breathe incorrectly, right? Majority of society. I don't know if you read that book, A Breath by James Nestor. It's all about, it's an amazing book, all about breath and why. I mean, this is the stuff of life. We can live without food. We can live for a while without water, but we stop breathing. We're no longer here. We have transcended, right? We have moved on. So a lot of people, when they did the research, a lot of people are breathing too fast, too shallow. So when you say 3 rounds of breath, could you demonstrate a proper, correct? It is actually not that straightforward for a lot of people. They think, well, I'm breathing, so that's all right.
Yeah. So most people only breathe in their upper chest. That's usually how it is. And it's that shallow breathing, as you mentioned. And that's what puts many of us, or keeps many of us, in that stress mode, fight or flight. But it's the deep breath. So the easiest way to do this is to place your hand, you can't see my stomach now, but to place your hand on your lower belly. And as you breathe in, we teach through the nose. But actually, I've done breath work, and either way is fine, whichever is more comfortable for you. But it's imagining you can breathe all the way down into your belly and feel your belly expand into your hand. That way you're getting the breath deep down. And if you start to practice that 1, 2, 3 rounds of breath, and you do that consciously, you're already starting to tap into that rest and digest system. So the system that calms the body and gets you into de-stress mode, restorative mode instead.
Beautiful. So it's a great tool for a modern day human, people that are running around stressed, and all it takes is just to become present and take a few breaths.
That's all it is, really.
All it is. Simplicity is very overrated, wouldn't you say?
I would say, yes.
Underrated. Underrated. Yes, a lot of people, have you also experienced that many of us are very much in the mind, and we keep searching for new tools, we keep searching for new techniques, while all it takes, if you really want to be at peace, honestly, it's not that complicated, is it?
No, it's really not. And it's so true. It's part of our modern society. We've got that shiny object syndrome, right? We're all looking for the next thing. And really something as simple as connecting with your breath allows you to not only center yourself, de-stress, calm, but also allows you to connect to your own guidance. So rather than looking externally, you can come back to what you already have access and knowledge about, it's already within you.
Yeah, Lovetarians, just let's not forget about the simple things in life, such as breath, water, little laughter, companionship. Easy recipe for
laughter is the best medicine.
Exactly. Of course, we are so blessed living in Spain. We have a lot of sun, so that's great. That's very nourishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you practice yoga outside? Do you have a preference on your practice? Any techniques that you prefer over other techniques?
I'm very changeable, I have to say, and that's something that's happened relatively recently. I would say 6 to 8 months ago, I was very disciplined, practicing Ashtanga like 5-6 days a week, which is quite a tough practice. But I realized that we need to be very mindful of the body and how, even especially us as women, and this is not excluding men at all, but our hormones change. So our requirements day to day tend to change. And as a yoga teacher, I teach multiple forms of yoga, but I found myself slipping into a routine of just doing the same thing day in, day out, and it didn't feel good. So what I would suggest to anybody is movement is dependent on what you want to do on the day, and it's feeling into what you and your body need at that time. So my advice is that, tune into what feels good for you.
Well, in essence, we are coming back again to what we said at the beginning, that everybody needs to tune into their inner knowing. And as we, all of us, are guides, we are assisting in people's growth and evolution. We can't do it for anybody, can we?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely
So tell us about your book and show us your book. What is this all about?
So this was a collaborative book that I did with 11 other women last year. So there were 12 of us. And it's just a collection of inspiring stories, just to, it's called There She Glows. So it's to basically empower other women who are thinking about creating that change, following their dreams, stepping into their magic, moving forward in their life, or just breaking out of status quo, whatever that means for them, their form of freedom, I guess. And we just got together, a bunch of us, and wrote the stories that we wanted to share, in the hope that it would inspire others to then step forward on their path, which was really amazing, really good.
How can our listeners, viewers, get your book?
It's available on Amazon. Actually, there's a second edition coming out this week as well, which I'm not involved in, but it's on Amazon.
That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about how you help or assist women, because I suppose you focus on women mainly.
So I actually help yoga teachers. So the idea with the Digital Yogini is that I had many conclusions from when I stopped teaching yoga full time. I was like, okay, I have lots of program beliefs here that, as I started to expand into exploring things on the digital side of life online, that I realized that we had loads of programs that had filtered through. So there is like an inherited poverty consciousness that comes within the yoga community, that yoga teachers tend to undervalue themselves and their gifts. There's a lot of things that may be deemed un-yogic, like promoting themselves on social media, or even, promoting their classes and workshops and getting out there and doing other things, expanding. So my biggest mission is to help yoga teachers move beyond this and to understand and know what's available to them online. So the big program that I guide them through is helping them to create their unique yoga love story, which is a high-ticket online coaching program that they create themselves based on their personal journey. Because when you think about who you were before yoga, and anybody can apply this to their life, but generally yoga teachers have gone on this journey. They came to yoga, they fell in love, they learned all of these tools, they've had all of these transformations happen in their life, and now they're out there sharing their passion with others. And you can do this obviously in a class setting on a very limited basis, because normally we have a kind of set structure when you're teaching yoga. But if you could meet somebody who had those same issues, which is often, lack of confidence, lack of self-worth, various issues, who maybe desire to be where they are now, feeling confident, feeling expanded, feeling, you know, really strong in their power and sovereign state. And if you have those keys, why not guide somebody through that process? So I help them to create their programs. I help them to set up everything online and to basically get their message out into the world.
Beautiful. Okay, and how is it something that you are doing online, or people can meet you, also get to know you? Now with COVID, obviously it's different, but what is the structure? How would a person get in touch, and how would you guide them? Get a little bit more specific. If we have some yoga teachers who are thinking, oh, I would like to make some money online, maybe.
Yes. Firstly, I have a Facebook group called Freedom to Truly Serve that anybody can find me there. You can find me on my website, which you can see on the screen is TheDigitalYogini.com. You can access me straight away there. Programs that I offer are, it's online, but I offer group coaching and I offer one-to-one coaching as well. So yeah, you can choose your path and how you want to go through the process. It can be self-study, it can be group, it can be one-to-one. But yeah, it's something there for everybody, I think. I have other things coming through now as well, because there are so many. I think as you start on any of these journeys, you realize, okay, there's other areas that we can help in as well. So yeah, there's plenty more coming through in the pipeline too. This is where we're starting.
Wonderful. You've mentioned names of ascended masters. You are wearing a beautiful necklace, and it's very familiar to me. You actually introduced me to this beautiful transmission called the Sophia Code. Can you tell a little bit about your journey with the Sophia Code and what it is to you, and who are those ascended masters that you are talking to, and can anybody do it?
And this is, I come back to it again, it's so interesting. Like, I just think it's magic. The Sophia Code has been such a magical gift. And it's so funny because when I picked it up last year, and I read through it, and I was just like, wow, oh my God, there's so much information in here. It was like nearly information overload. Yes. And I told loads of people about it, especially you, I saw a dragon on one of your things there. I was like, oh my God, Natalia, you need to read this. And actually, after about August last year, I put it down, and it's funny because you ran off with it. You know, you were like, I'm going on this journey. Yes. And then this year, I was brought back to it not that long ago, actually, towards the beginning of May. I started.
Why do you think you were drawn to it again?
I started a program called Rebirth, which was with Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary. Okay. And it was literally as soon as I started that, they kind of came through, and I've been channeling them a lot, but I've had so many coming through now. This necklace is actually Joan of Arc pendant, but it's with Mother Mary, Yeshua, and Archangel Michael as well. And then I have the Mary Magdalene bracelet. I have them all around. But it's been such a gift. It really has. And I can't express this enough, that it's been part of my yoga journey. It has been to create that space in my mind through the vehicle of the body to allow that guidance to come through. And it's such a powerful tool, and you can tap into that. And it's so easy. Like, I just can't express how easy it is.
Maybe you can explain it a little bit, because maybe it's easy for us at this point. Maybe it's not for some people. And why would it not be easy for them, you think?
So starting with why it wouldn't be easy is that we keep ourselves so busy, you know. And something that I guess through my yoga practice is I've made it a practice every day to get up and make time and space for me, generally through my yoga practice, through meditation. But I've now added in like a very healthy journaling practice as well. And it really is, well, for example, this morning I came in and I did 15 minutes of yin yoga. I did 15 minutes of meditation. Maybe that's too much for people. You know, you could just do 10 minutes of just sitting and breathing for a few minutes, and then open my journal. And I come with the questions that I'm most plagued with. most days, because I'm like, oh, I've got this thing going on, help. Sometimes I pull cards as well, but quite often I will literally just write the question and say, you know, can you please help me? And what happens for me is thoughts start to come through, and I need to write it down because I'll forget the thoughts. They go away. But when we write, we make things material. It's like you're manifesting it into the world. Plus also it's there in concrete and you can read back on that later. And in my Facebook group, I've actually started sharing these messages that are coming through as well, because I've realized it's just so powerful. I can't just keep this to myself, you know. The guidance that comes through is just like, oh, amazing. Like, for example, this week I've been planning on investing in a coaching program that I want to be in. And I was really struggling. I was like, yeah, this ticks all the boxes. But when it came to pressing the buy button, I was like, ooh. And I sat down and I asked about this. And it was funny because I have these really amazing cards. I don't know if you can see them, Keepers of the Light. I just shuffled them and Jesus popped out, the Ascended Master Jesus, who's Mary Magdalene's twin flame. And what I tend to do is I read a little bit of the card or read the message, and that generally tends to set the theme, if you know what I mean. And it was about forgiveness. And like literally, I just started to write, and it came through. It was like, you know, what you're experiencing, the fears are coming from, you need to forgive yourself. Basically, he was saying, you need to forgive yourself. It's not the fear of the future. You're still attaching to something from the past. So it just reminded me that, like, well, what I was feeling at the time was like, oh, I wasted money in the past. Is this going to be me wasting money again? You know? And he was like, can you forgive yourself and release the shame to me? And I hadn't even thought of it in that way. I just thought I was like, oh, I'm afraid to spend this money. I didn't think that it was coming from something from my past that I needed to forgive. So I actually shared this in my Facebook group, and a girl reached out to me this morning going, oh my God, Niamh, this is exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you so much for sharing this. And it's just another indication. I was like, oh my God, these messages, they're not just trustworthy, but they can help other people too. So if you can tap into this guidance for yourself and then share it with everybody, we're stepping forward to that 5D consciousness that I know the Lovetarian Way is moving everybody towards, right?
Well, interesting that you mentioned Jesus, because it's been coming very strongly to me very, very often, him saying that it is our duty to use our life suffering and all the lessons that we had gone through and healed to share it in a free, loving way with the world, because what we might think is irrelevant, it will actually have that effect oftentimes at somebody who is going through something at that time, right? In their time.
So much. And this is so amazing, because your life is your message, right? And that's just a tight, like what I'm trying to help yoga teachers to see as well with their journey, their unique yoga love story. That's their message. All of those experiences that they went through, all of the wisdom that they learned from those challenges. How many people need that? You know, how many people could really use that wisdom that you've garnered in those events that maybe to you seem really small and insignificant, but maybe could have been life-changing in so many ways, and maybe could change the life of somebody else.
Absolutely. You know? One of our messages in the workshops that we are guiding people at in the Lovetarian Way Academy, it's truly never underestimate your value and your story, the power of your story. You might think that it's nothing. Well, there might be thousands of people just needing to hear that message and how you've overcome. Isn't that so?
That's exactly it. That is exactly it.
You had some stories in your own life that you had truly overcome a lot of suffering, as all of us did. I talked about the story with bulimia. I talked about my cancer scare, all those things. I'm truly raw and honest, and I'm doing my best to share from my heart and just give evidence to people that if me, just a normal person, girl from Poland, growing up in a normal so-called house, I could create a life of magic and miracles. Why wouldn't anybody be able to do that if they truly want to? Isn't that so?
I think so. Totally. You're a powerful creator.
What about some stories you could maybe tell to inspire? One or two.
Oh, I've had so many stories. I think so many of us on this journey have had stories that
What would you like to share? Because maybe there's somebody who needs to hear it.
The thing that's popping into my mind straight away, which is one of the most powerful things that really, really changed my life, was I went through depression in 2014, 2015. And depression is a very, very difficult thing to go through, but can be so powerful for your own growth as well. And this was my experience because my sister had gone through depression for 15 years. She subsequently passed. But I didn't understand her before that. I just really didn't understand what she was going through. And I just thought she was making it all up, that it was all in her head. Until I actually experienced it myself and realized the power of the mind to lock you into hell on earth. And it showed me as well that hell is of your own creation, as is heaven. And how I broke out of my hell was through affirmations. And this was a really key and poignant time in my life, because affirmations have been a powerful part of my journey as well. But I realized that if I couldn't accept my situation and reprogram my own mind, I was never going to break out of this hell that I'd created. And it showed me very clearly that the mind is like a human computer that just requires programming. But it has to come from a deep truth within you. So I had to look at this situation that was driving me crazy. My mind was like a washing machine. It was just the same thoughts going round and round and round. And I couldn't break this spin cycle, I used to call it. If you put on your clothes to wash, it just goes round and round. So I knew I had to find a deep truth. And my deepest truth at that time was, and it still is a deep truth, is everything in this universe is teaching us. Everything in this world, everything around us is teaching us. But it's also, we're in a reciprocal relationship with everything around us, that it is also our student. It's learning from us. So we have that two-way street, your student, its teacher, and it's your student and teacher. So my affirmation was, I accept everything as it is right now, because that was so important for me to move beyond it. I accept everything as it is right now, my classroom, my teacher, my student. And as the thoughts would go around, I started to say this, and I repeated it, and I wrote it out for like 3 days. I wrote it out, and I had to get it into that spin cycle. I had to get it programmed into my head. And it took 2 weeks for me to break the spell. And then after that, it was like, oh my God, I'm back. After 6 months of being locked in hell, I reprogrammed my mind to break out. And it was just so profound. It was like, we can reprogram our mind. We can change our world. And we have the power. The power is within us. And also that we create heaven as much as we create our own hell.
Thank you. That's powerful. And I can relate to this in more way than one. We actually, on Tuesday, when I'm guiding another group of goddesses in what is called Introduction to the Lovetarian Way, we shared a picture of me, divided into darkness and into light. And it's just such a beautiful reflection of what you're saying. Either way, it's a construct. Either way, it's a thought form. Either way, it's also ingrained in our body due to what we've been exercising and practicing for so long. And it says, I became free when I realized that the cage was made of thoughts. And I will never forget that moment years ago when I became present, observing myself as a soul, bending over the toilet, throwing up for the 22nd year of my life. Talking about depression. On the surface, everybody thought I had a perfect life. I was perfection. The amount of pain and disconnection to myself, to my true nature, was just, wow. Yeah, 22 years, it's a bit of time. And it all began, as it began and originated in my thought process and lack of self-love and wanting to be everything that I was really not meant to be, you know, wanted to belong, wanted to be just as other people, fit into the environment that I was living in, conform, if you will, although I had always known that each of us are created to stand out and shine in our own light. But the moment we disconnect, we say no, we block the flow, and thoughts, mind, as Eckhart Tolle calls it, mind in the service of madness starts taking over, and we start feeling and doing things that are insane, including that, or getting into this heaven, hell on earth by the creation of our own self.
Yes.
Little self.
Completely.
How would you guide people? I mean, we have our process. I downloaded algorithm for creation, lots of tools that I'm teaching. However, how would you weave in yoga into this gift of presence and breath to become present of your thought process, of your prison? How could you, let's say, for example, guide a person now, 1 minute, go, tell them they are really mad, they are insane with suffering. What would you advise?
It's always to come back to the breath, you know, because yoga at its very core is just breathing.
As simple as that again.
Again, just coming back to the simplicity of the breath and taking a few deep breaths. It's funny how that shift state changes your energy. And that's a really, really, really powerful thing. So before you do anything, it's inspiration, right? You want to take in spirit, calm the mind, clear the mind. And with anger or frustration or anything, especially with depression, or if you're dealing with bulimia or eating disorders, all of those are dis-eases of the mind, let's say. And we, through the power of the breath, few simple breaths, as I said, hand on your lower belly, breathe in through the nose, send it all the way down into your hand, and feel your hand expand, or your belly expand underneath your hand. And do that 2, 3, 4, 5 times, however many times you need, until you feel that peace descend. If you need to do it 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 times, keep doing it, because it will come. But through that, clarity will also come. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that is so true what you're saying. And again, we're coming back to simplicity. I know that because the society had been conditioned to think the way we think, things oftentimes need to be more complicated than they actually are. And the medicine really is as simple as just being present, stopping the chatter, dropping your consciousness into your body, taking deep breaths, glass of water, some air, and there you go. You're on your way, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if I was to add another layer to that, it would just be acceptance. Because if you can accept the things you cannot change.
Well, that beautiful prayer.
Yeah, exactly. And accept the things you can. If you can, once you accept things, there's a softening, and you can nearly get a different point of view. Yeah.
Exactly. You know that old adage that what you resist persists? Well, as opposed to if you just bring the light of awareness and acceptance, you make space for change.
Yes. And space is all that you need. A little bit of space. You know?
Exactly. And the body and our modality that we are guiding is, we call it the vehicle of ascension, vehicle of awakening. We are really all about, yes, it's wonderful to get lost in meditation. It's fantastic. It's fabulous. However, we are teaching that, in fact, life is about walking meditation. It's not about 5 minutes in the morning. It's about embodying your light on beautiful planet Earth and walking every day, isn't it so?
So much. Do you know what? This, like, oh, I'm so in this at the moment. Loving that whole concept, because yeah, 5 minutes in the morning is great, but if you can hold an essence of that within you and carry it throughout your day, it's such a profound thing. And if you can start to look at your world as your playground, you know, or your play, and you're the starring role, and you are figuring out how to navigate this in a way that, you know, allows you to keep your cool as you move through it. Because everything, you know, I just reminded of the yogis of old, or the monks who used to live in the caves in the Himalayas, and I know they still do. But life is for living, and we're here to experience, and we can't grow unless we experience. But it's how we move through that experience. Do we move angered and enraged and frustrated and angry and or do we take it calmly and allow everything to flow smoothly and easily? And consciousness of the breath, and like checking in with it every so often throughout the day, once or twice. Some people set alarms to do this. I've heard this before, but just that taking a little breath every now and again can just give you a momentary pause, just snap back in from whatever kerfuffle you might have gotten into, you know.
100%. And people often ask me, probably you get this question too, but my situation is different. It's not so simple. My circumstances are different. Well, okay. Newsflash, everybody's situation is different. What do you say to that?
Exactly that. Everybody's situation is different. We're all unique. We're all moving through our own stuff. And it all comes back to point of view as well. Because you might look at a situation and I'll look at a situation and we could see it completely differently, you know? And to a third person, you could argue that you're just seeing the same thing, but you're not. So everybody has a unique situation. And it's how you choose to meet that situation is of your choosing, you know?
You know, I'm playing a little game with girls in our workshops. I'm showing them pictures. I don't know if you know those pictures, where the optical illusion pictures, where you shown a photo and some people will see a bird, other people will see a rabbit. Another picture is with a young woman or an old woman. So the point of this whole thing is all realities exist in this infinite field of possibilities, and your map of reality is going then to define how you will see life, and the stage of awareness you at. It will also, well, help you experience life in a certain way, right? So it's not something is good, something is bad. It's just the stage at which you are at. And it's just as anything in life, you can choose consciously to evolve your thought process. Isn't that so?
So much. And I'm diving into this as well a lot at the moment. You've probably heard, I'm sure you've heard of shadow alchemy, and you probably teach that as well. So shadow alchemy is such an interesting process because it looks at archetypes. I mean, there are many ways to skin a rabbit, as my mother would say. There's so many ways to do this, but this particular one is with like looking at the archetypes. They're at 8 archetypes, and we all fall into that. And the belief systems that come under those, we can all identify with, you know. But they say that there are 4 archetypes of the light and 4 archetypes of the shadow, let's say. And it's how can we recognize ourselves within the shadow aspects and then shift ourselves into the light using something similar to affirmations, which, as I said, it's just
one of my
favorites. Don't you just love it, right?
I love it.
And it's totally reprogramming, and it's not just you reprogramming your mind, but the experience of your life as well, you know, because your beliefs shape everything.
Absolutely. And here it comes at a point that really must be pointed out. A lot of people will say, and again, no disrespect, this is a space of non-judgment. when somebody tells me, oh, well, but the affirmations, they don't work. And I'm just asking them to pause for a second and become consciously aware what they just said. You know, everything that you say is in fact an affirmation. So if you choose not to believe in magic, so to speak, of the transformational power of the word, that's a choice. If affirmations don't work for you, thank you, they don't work for you. If you think you're right, you're right. If you think you're not right, you're also right, you know.
Absolutely.
What defines our reality?
Totally. Look, I created a course on affirmations, and I did come across some key things that will help people. So what I noticed from the people that I've worked with affirmations is if it doesn't feel true to you, then it's not hitting the right place and it won't work. So it must be something that feels true, but also addresses that thing that you're wanting to change. So whatever that problem area is, what could be more true about that? Do you know?
Absolutely.
And for me, I'm a very feely personality, being a yoga teacher, I feel it in my body. There's a difference for me when it's true and it's not true. So I would urge people to check in with their body. Because for me, when it's true, there's an uplift. I feel an uplift. And when it's not true, there's like a heaviness, and it's lower down, more towards my sacral chakra, the lower belly. Another thing is how many people have done blogs on affirmations? A gazillion people, and they've given a gazillion different recommendations of use this affirmation, use that affirmation. Do not use anybody else's affirmation. It must come
if that doesn't feel right. Yeah.
Exactly. It'll never be true if you copy somebody else's. So I'll take that back, because sometimes you read something and you're like, oh, that's amazing, and it speaks exactly to me. And if that happens,
that's because it speaks to you, right? That's the thing. Yeah. That's the reason.
Yes. But a lot of people tend to just see affirmations written in a blog or an article or a book, and they just try to use them and they can't connect to them, and they don't work.
Yes.
Another thing that I noticed as well is that people don't practice them, you know, they don't make that commitment. And it needs to be initially a multiple time a day thing. And I suggest writing these things out, because as I said with that story with my depression, I had to get into the programming. And once it's in there as a default response, that's when the magic happens, you know, because you've rewritten your belief once you have it in there. So my recommendation is, for the first week, write them out every day and say them as you're writing them. So that you're writing them, you're making them manifest, you're speaking them out, you're making them manifest. And you're nearly normalizing that into your world and into your speech. Once it becomes normal, it's sinking into your reality, sinking into your cells, and becoming part of your everyday. So that's the power of affirmations, to become your new belief system. But it takes practice.
100%. We are multiple times. I mean, our main tool in the Lovetarian Way Academy is the algorithm of co-creation, and it's all about the energy of thought being empowered by emotion. And as we are taught by ancients, there are two main energy fields of emotions: fear and love, derived emotions. Of course, science confirms it today, talking about measuring your body response, you know, kinesiology, right? And the muscle response. If you tell the truth, you will be strong. If you don't tell the truth, you will be weakened. And we can do it, you know, say your name and tell somebody to lower your arm, and it will be very difficult for them if that's the truth. If you are lying, it will just be dropping. So I mean, very simple tools that we can give people to you know, to test those affirmations as well. You know, say an affirmation and then test it. see how you're standing, how you're feeling in your body. That's the vehicle of ascension is your body. So we forgot, right? We're very much in the mind, but we forgot that there is a reason why we have all those energy centers, isn't it?
So much. And the body never lies. As you said, with the kinesiology, it just doesn't. And something that I guide my clients through is to find their navigational tool. Because that is, it's different for everybody. Like, for example, for me, when I know it's a hell yes, there's a like excited, yes, okay, let's go. But when it's a no, it's nearly like a murky waters, but I can feel, as I said, a kind of a dropping down on my belly. But I have a client and he was like, you know what? No, mine is, I get a pushback. When I know it's a go, there's like a pushback. And I'm like, wow, it just shows you everybody's different, everybody's unique. But you need to practice and test like that, say your name and then see what comes up, or ask yourself questions and find what the yes or no is inside of you.
I use pendulum now I am a pendulum. Pendulum is the tool. I am the vehicle, so I don't need the pendulum. But I would suggest for anybody to use any piece of metal that is suspended on the line. So I can just show people, this is just a mala. And I will ask this mala now, please show me a yes. And look what it is doing. It is show me a yes. It is showing me a yes, right? That is my yes. So everybody can get their own yes from a pendulum, or literally you can take a stapler and suspend it on the piece of metal. This is so easy for me because I've been practicing, right? But for people, they need to get in tune with the tool. And I'll ask it now, show me a no, and it will go this way, right? It will go like like that way. So I can ask a question using a tool, whatever that might be. Basically, everything is electromagnetic field. So we can use a metal, right? Metal suspended on something, and it will, first of all, we need to establish a baseline when we ask, could you show me a yes? Could you show me a no? Because for my husband, for example, his yes is looking differently than my yes. So once you have that, you can work with that tool to help you, can be the extension of your body and the wisdom of your body. And once you get really into this process, you can even ask, because we are all connected to different frequencies, you can ask the higher frequencies, your guides, the masters, right, angels, to help you co-create your life in such a beautiful way. So there's ways to use the body, aren't there?
Many ways. It is really good, though, to tap into your body, because so many of us are disconnected from our bodies. And nearly with the pendulum, it's kind of, you're still giving that away, And when you tap into your own body, you build a strength and connection with your body. And that's a problem I think a lot of people have these days, is they're so disconnected from themselves and what they feel inside themselves, So that's either way, though.
Yeah, this old saying that what you don't feel, you can't heal. And people, I have enormous amounts of conversations hearing from people, I don't want to feel that. Well done. What do we say to that?
That's an acceptance in itself. Everybody will process things in their own time. Like, everything happens in perfect divine timing. And if you're not ready to go there yet, don't go there. Never force things. And that's been something that I'm sure you've had throughout your life, pushing against things, forcing things to happen when it wasn't the right time. And if you don't feel ready to go there, then it's not the right time. But the time will come when the time is ready to come,
What I can say on that is that me, being an Aryan and dragon, very fiery personality, dominant personality, I did tend to push ahead, yes, and make things happen as opposed to allowing things to happen. And what I came to find as I balanced my energies more and more, that at the end of the day, it can be straighter path with less suffering, or it can be a winding path. However, with a lot of suffering. And it is exactly proportional to the amount of us allowing and surrendering our light, our hearts to guide us, our soul, as opposed to, I'm going to just go there and I'm going to just force this outcome right now. It's all right. You can do it too. I've done it.
Oh, listen, meet your sister. I've done it so many times.
Yeah, I heard from when I was applying to be admitted into the mystery school with the Sophia Code, with this beautiful transmission, really powerful light transmission. One of the angels, interviewing angels, we call them earth angels. We are earth angels now as initiates. She said to me, well, interesting, because I told her that, well, it's divine timing, right? It's divine timing that I do this. I feel so guided. And she was like, yeah, it's divine timing. However, we were given a free will. So when you align your free will with the divine timing, that's when the magic really happens. Because it's not just a lot of spiritual, as I call them, floaters. A subtitle of my book, incoming book, is the Grounding the Spiritual Floater to Experience Your Magic. It's a lot of humor there too. You know, the spiritual floater is somebody, you and me oftentimes, I mean, 99% of spiritual people, divine timing, all divine timing. Well, yeah, sure, it's divine timing. Absolutely, 100%. We were also given a free will. So if you feel that, what we talked about earlier, if you feel inspiration, this is the moment to ship it. This is the moment to go. Go there, go. This is the timing. And the free will combined together. Take that step. And another thing that I found out really so beautifully was when you're there, you might not know exactly all the details of how your vision is going to unfold, how your goals are going to be met, how you're going to meet yourself on the journey to your dreams. You do it. You there, you take a step and you course correct on the way. Honestly, oftentimes, especially for the spiritual friends of ours, all of that community, this laid back attitude and relaxation, as beautiful as it is, and the floating as wonderful as it is in the skies and the meditation and heavens, grounding, boots on the ground, rubber meets the road. There, okay, you shall make, we don't call them mistakes. You will have lots of lessons on the way. After all, Earth is a school. But, you know, why don't you there if you want something? Because, you know, some people, I'm not saying, I'm not judging. Some people are perfectly comfortable sitting on the hammock on the beach and they enjoy it. And if that is how you're going to show your magnificence to the world and that floats your boat, I'm all for it and I salute you. A lot of us have incarnated light workers to actually do something, make a change, bring some gifts to the world through programs, through services, through offerings such as yours, and help other yogipreneurs, you call them, right? There to take that step. It does require some courage, doesn't it?
It takes a lot of courage. Every day, it's like, this is not easy. There's a... Wow. As I mentioned previously, there's a constant expansion and contraction where you go through days and weeks of like, yeah, this is amazing, it's all going great. And then there's like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And for me, it was like, I had no real experience in digital. And it was like a whole new world I was diving into, but I had a vision. And when the thoughts came up, it was like, okay, well, if not you, who? If not now, when? And that's been a real driving force for me, because I know that there are probably people out there with more experience, well, than I had when I started, because you gain experience as you go through this, right? But if you have an idea and if you have an inner drive to do something, change something, and it's calling you, but what's holding you back is your fear, I beg you to ask yourself, if not you, who? If not now, when? Because those little inklings that you have, I feel, are your guidance system saying, hey, I'm tapping on you over here. Come, I want to show you the way, you know?
On that note, there are two beautiful little books that I could recommend. It's very quick read. It's by Stephen Pressfield, called Do the Work and The Art of War. War of Art, the other way around. The War of Art, not Lao Tzu, but the other one. And this is all about resistance having million heads, that your greatness is there waiting for you at all times. All you really need to do is to quiet that mind, become present, and there. He calls it just ship it, and you will course correct. And oh my God, the amount, the saying that God helps those that help themselves, taking action on that inspiration is 10,000 times more powerful than sitting for 10 hours and pondering, creating self-doubt, proving to yourself how unworthy, how silly, how uneducated, how unprepared. Wow, God loves action. God loves forward movement, the expansion. And again, there's no judgment. If that is fine for you to be sitting and pondering and self-doubting for 10 years, oh gosh knows. 22 years of eating disorder, even though I was in action all the time, I was taking all sorts of incorrect actions, shall we say, it still got me where it got me. All I'm saying, all we are saying is that how much do you want to suffer? Are you willing to cut off all the cords and addiction to suffering, or are you going to keep perpetuating that behavior? You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. Something that I've been working with though this past year, which I think is a really powerful question, is what would it look like if it were easy? So if you have something that you want to do and you have all these fears coming up and you're just seeing the challenges, I dare you to ask your guidance, get a journal like I do or whatever works for you and write that out. What would it look like if it were easy? And keep asking that question, and just whatever comes through, write it down. And it doesn't have to make sense to you straight away, but if you can find it within you to follow that guidance, if the stars align and you feel it's good, like, you will be shown the way. You will. And it doesn't have to be super difficult. It doesn't. Because I was given this really, really amazing analogy a few weeks ago by Mary Magdalene. And it was basically, imagine it this way. Imagine that you're in a helicopter and you're with maybe a team of people in this helicopter, and you get dropped off on a desert island, and you've got a walkie-talkie and they've got the walkie-talkie, and there's a forest and you need to get to a place in that forest, but you have no idea how to get there. But your team are flying up above the island. They can see everything. And not only that, but they have the absolute perfect and easiest map, like the perfect route for you to go. All you have to do is turn on that walkie-talkie, or the other option is you find the way yourself. The choice is yours, and that's the free will element. You can tap in to your team who know the easiest way, or you can do it yourself.
100%. And that is so much in alignment with the pillars of the Lovetarian Way. We have this beautiful little iconographic, it's like a temple. The foundation of the temple is unconditional love. Then you've got pillar 1 is 100% responsibility. Accept 100% responsibility for your life. Pillar 2 is we are one, we are all connected. So therefore embrace the golden rule. Basically, don't be an asshole, in short. Pillar 3 is truly embody gratitude, because everything in life is a miracle if you're willing to see it. As like Einstein said, either it is a miracle or it's not. Again, choice, right? And then the Lovetarian nourishment is pillar 4, and that includes breath work, yoga, beautiful food, feelings of love, appreciation, compassion, acceptance, which brings me now to that final word of this over an hour now broadcast. How beautifully it went. Amazing. How do we, isn't it all coming down to love yourself enough? It's like old school Louise Hay said, I don't work with my clients on any problems. It's all about loving yourself, feeling worthy. And yeah, it's your divine right to thrive, truly.
So much. And like, to quote Louise Hay, one of her, the most powerful affirmations, which is great for this as well, because it ties into the conversation, is I love and accept myself. And last May, actually, of last year, I used that affirmation for at least a month or two. And the powerful shifts that I felt were unreal, and I can't recommend it enough. I love and accept myself. So simple, but so powerful.
Absolutely. And, of course, in school, we do classical exercise of simple mirror work. And you can very easily see where you are in life if you truly look into your eyes in the mirror, and you can say those words. Or if you can't say those words, then you will know exactly where you're at. So then the encouragement to people would be, yes, okay, if you can't say I love you, then how about easing yourself into it by saying I am willing, I am opening more and more. So find that middle ground to get on that bridge with the Lovetarian way from hell to heaven, right? You're willing. Are you willing? It's not too much to ask. Are you willing? Are you open?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Love that. Because it's part of the journey, right? Sometimes it's too big a step. And I think it's from Louise Hay as well, that it's the emotional scale. Have you heard of the emotional scale?
Oh, yes, we're teaching that.
And I love that, because and this really works for affirmations as well, because, people think of affirmations and they go, oh yeah, I tried that one, I'm a millionaire, and it didn't work for me. Like, normally it's just too high up on the scale. You need to find something that's a little bit closer and resonates as just that next step, Like, so if you're feeling like you're depressed or angry or just sad, imagine you're just sad and it just seems too much to say, oh, I'm the happiest person ever today. The next one would probably say, well, I'm feeling a little bit better today, and that's just enough, that little increment.
Definitely, those great teachers, Abraham, really great teachers in spirit. Yes, they always said, reach out for that next feeling that feels just better, and then better, and then better. And then they call it the rampage of appreciation. You start getting on that wheel with a little bit, and then more, and then more, and then more. And what do you do? Like with the algorithm we teach, the energy, like energy will attract like energy. So the more thoughts, actually they gave us a process, I believe, if you would practice that for 68 seconds, those positive thoughts, little by little by little, there will be a vortex of energy that will be created, and more of those thoughts will get attracted into that field, magnetized, and then you will just start flowing with those affirmations. So if you're not willing, if you're not ready to say I am rich when you're not, how about I'm open to believing that other people thrive and it works for them, so maybe it could work for me too. And you start playing with those concepts. So you need to find something that you already know that works, and then relate it to your own life and go deeper and deeper and deeper, and basically have fun with it.
Yeah, totally. And I think that comes from The Vortex by Esther and Abraham.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And the emotional scale has so much good stuff.
I love
their work. Yeah.
I spent a good majority of a decade with Abraham. I loved it. It really, when I was in that deep, deep hole, I remember, I would not do this now, but at that time it saved me. When I was in a really dark place, I would put Vortex, on audio. I would have a nice glass of wine and I would just flow. And then I remember even Abraham saying like, well, people ask, is it okay to drink alcohol and so on? And Abraham says, well, these people, at least they are trying to make themselves feel good and get in the vortex. So cut themselves slack. So I was like, cheers. Of course, as I grew, and I know that you don't necessarily need substances to get you to that place. But come on, it's as if you are in a very dark place. Do whatever it takes to feel just a little bit better.
Yes, 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%.
Yes, my favorite drink is water. Now.
Me too.
Right. And by the way, do you also use water for cleaning? And you know about those beautiful processes of drinking water, solarized water, and doing the intentions with water?
I do. I don't do that as much. I'm not as dedicated with you, but I have my Sophia Code. I have a little altar here.
Kuan Yin, right? The She of Thousand Waters. She's teaching us how beautifully purifying water is.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, totally. And I know that well, I don't know if you and Joachim still go and collect water up in the mountains. Do you still do?
We have a filter now, so we don't need to. But we used to, yes, because the water, I don't know, in different countries, obviously the water is fluoridized and so on. In Spain, they only use chlorine, which is very unpleasant. So we installed filters, and now it's beautiful. It's not a problem. We even got the
Ganjin. Is it the Ganjin one, or is it what make is it? Do you mind me asking?
You mean the filter?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a friend who installed those, so I will give you his contact because he's not living here anymore. So he will tell. I don't remember the name. It's been so long ago, but he specializes in this specific area, which is purifying water. So I trust him, and he came. He did it. I don't even know. And on the shower, on the shower, it's not the central system, so we have it. At every source, there is a filter for drinking water and then for showering, because it will also soften water, because water here is a little hard. So then it's much easier on the body.
Yeah, I know. That's great. It's amazing.
Honey, it's 111. It's time. 11333. Wow. Like beautiful numbers.
You know how I feel about numbers. Love them.
Okay, so I will thank you so much. Everybody has your information here. Show the cover of your book again, please, if you could. Then you can buy it on Amazon. Yes, you can get in touch with Niamh. That is her website. Of course, we will be back a few months from now. You will tell us what's up, and maybe you have been taken into another level. Maybe you will do something else. That's the idea, right?
Exactly. Who knows? Thank you so much for having me on. This has been amazing.
Pleasure. And you enjoy the weekend. Everybody enjoyed the weekend. Take this time, people. Take this time to really nourish yourselves in mind, body, spirit. And what is the energy of the weekend if not for a little relaxation, right?
Absolutely. And to let everything go with that full moon that we just had last night.
I did, by the way, amazing full moon ritual today with rice and water and candles and sage, and wow, it was amazing. I felt so good.
Yay.
It's still time for people to do it. It's just a little research on Google and you will get beautiful suggestions. It's actually a strawberry moon. I found one process where you can eat strawberries, and with every bite, you actually release. It is so brilliant. I actually practice Ho'oponopono as well, and Dr. Len, the one that brought this together with Joe Vitale into the big scale to the world, he, in one of our workshops, he was teaching us that strawberry being a very great cleaning tool for weight loss. I was like, all right. The ridiculous things we have been learning. But by the way, eat a strawberry, enjoy yourself, because it's all about the energy you put into strawberry, and visualize all that light and beauty that comes through your body, how it nourishes you, right?
Oh man, I love that. And I actually was just chatting with a friend this morning who she was saying, you'll probably resonate with this because it's quite in line with the Hathor chapter as well. Going into your cells, getting into, just visualizing going into your cells, going into your electrons, and imbuing that with hydration, vitamins, sun, all of that good stuff. And then just visualizing your cells glowing and pulsating. If that's not going to lift your energy and your whole vibration, whoa, it's amazing.
Exactly.
Super powerful.
And on that note, from Hathor, and we're going to end with that thought because it is such a beautiful thought. summing up everything that we had said here today, your heaven, your health, your choice, your hell, your heaven, your choice. Hathor, she taught us in the Sophia Code, she said that once you truly embrace self-love, you will truly tune into your true nature. You will appreciate the multidimensionality of your existence. You will know the rules, that your thoughts are creative, your words, your feelings, you're the multidimensional being of love and light. Once you know that, she says, then the world becomes your cosmic playground. You can play like a kid. So let's play, shall we?
Yes, definitely. Let's play.
All right. So I'm going to say thank you. And everybody, beautiful, beautiful call. And we will see you next week with Jill is coming back. Jill Harrison is coming back on July 1st, I believe. And we will talk about some beautiful angelic messages, I believe. We'll see what Jill has for us. It's going to be a great conversation. So tune in next Friday is the 1st or Thursday. I don't know what day it is, but it's the 1st of July, I believe. So we will be obviously messaging, so nobody's going to miss that if you need to listen to that. So thank you once again from my heart to yours. Go and play, people. Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.